It's time for the ultimate meme of the video, which is Bitcoin will never, or at least very, 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 very unlikely, ever go below this price ever again. And that is the topic of today. We'll also go over some Bitcoin statistics. And other than that, I'm going to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Saturday morning, and we can just jump into this one right here, right now. So before we actually get started, I do want to let you know, I'll just give like a very soft sort of notification that we are going to be having a sale again in a couple weeks for the 6-year anniversary. But for the people who are really interested in the quant automation program, which gives you access to the skeleton key script plus the Krown VMP indicator package, you can get started right now if you want, because we've gotten a lot of questions about this. And well, fair enough. You know, if you just want to get started earlier, all good. The coupon code, as you can find, will be this happy 6 year, as you see on screen. All you need to do is just type that in, and it'll award you 35% off of all of your monthly subscriptions. So all good right there. And it'll be available for the first 100 people as of right now. And then once the actual real sale comes along, we can redo it if need be. All right, sweet. So first things first. Okay, I'm going to bite the biggest fucking meme, right? Which is Bitcoin will never go below this price ever again. And as of right now, the price that Bitcoin is extremely unlikely to go below is about $31,000. What is this based off of? This is based off of the Bitcoin production cost. Production cost is what I'm trying to say. And it's about to go up significantly, even above $60,000. Now, why is this relevant? Well, this represents the basement price that Bitcoin's traditionally ever seen on a higher term time frame closing basis for a prolonged period. Now, this indicator or this study is done by Charles Caprioli, who is one of the probably the only guy who makes fundamental indicators on TradingView who I think knows anything about anything and is actually worthwhile. He actually created the hash ribbons indicator as well, which we have used on this channel to call several significant lows in Bitcoin's history. The most recent and notable one was the $26,000 low, where Bitcoin was spending about a few months around that region, and many people are looking at that as a likely macro lower high before 10,000, 12,000, 6,000, 3,000, whatever the fuck, zero maybe as well. But in this case, I just want to show you the history of this one. So in the background, the light blue line chart is Bitcoin price, of course. And as you can see, even during some of the most hefty downside movements, we're looking at the black swan of 2020. And we're also looking at the black swan of 2022, that'd be FTX and the Rona dump, respectively, as calling, the lows around these prices. Did Bitcoin have a few wicks below? Sure, yeah, but ultimately, it really did not hang around these prices for too long, and also these were phenomenal long term. So as you can see, this has been very consistent throughout the full history of Bitcoin, and we've really only seen it even hang below there like a couple of times, and realistically it was very short-lived. Now, the reason why I'm calling this one out right now is because, yes, the basement price would be about $31,000, but what's about to happen in almost a month from now? The halving, right? And the halving will force this basement price to basically 2x overnight. I'll show you all of the times that we've seen halving dates and what the response was. And obviously the most recent one was in May of 2020. And what do you know? Big step up in that basement price right here. Bitcoin tested a few times, fine, sure. But ultimately, it was upwards and onwards from there. And it never saw lower than that ever again. The time before that was back when over here in 2016. Again, very similar thing. Now, this one actually did close below, or actually, sorry, no, it did not close below. It closed right at the bottom of it. Now that I recognize it, but again, it stepped up 2x overnight, and then Bitcoin did come back down and test the bottom side of this range, but that did hold, and it was a great long-term opportunity. And then, of course, the only other time that we've seen a halving was back here, besides those two, was 2012. And again, this one didn't even come close to ever testing it, really. But you can see that big step up in November of 2012. So this is, in my opinion, a fundamental signal that makes sense. Most fundamental stuff, I think, is just absolute garbage, garbola. It's not even really fundamental. It's just the on-chain stuff. The on-chain stuff is fucking hilarious. You really have to admit. I mean, especially if you were back around even in the year 2020 and 2021. It was like it was always on the wrong side, always, almost always. I'm sure that there are some good guys with it, like this guy, Charles Caprioli. But he's not really on chain, I guess. I guess he's more fundamental. I won't go on a super rant on that because I'll just offend a lot of people. But I think the result speaks for itself. And again, good history tested here. And I would say that this is a very relevant piece of information with the halving coming up, knowing that, kind of where Bitcoin is at right now is going to be about the basement price. Doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't get some wicks below, but we wouldn't really expect any significant and prolonged closures below after that halving date. So between now and in the halving, can Bitcoin play up pullbacks, below that number? Sure, of course, yes. But once that rolls around, I mean, theoretically or traditionally, if you're a long-term investor, the results speak for themselves. I will hold off on my opinion on that. Again, I just like to present the data and present the information, present statistics, and you can decide for yourself. But I think you can probably deduce my own opinion on that. Anyways, let me bring up my notes over here. Okay, yes, all right. So now moving on, this will probably be a little bit on the shorter side as far as videos go. We can go ahead and check out the daily HPDR bands. I've actually made one more change on this, just playing around with more fib numbers here. I'm actually going to be uploading a video just about the fib numbers settings. Not that there's any super secrets about it later this weekend. But as you can see, Bitcoin's still kind of caught between the 883 and the 786 right here. And that's what I do expect the range to continue to be over the weekends. The current high side of that range is just below $64,000, about 63,900. And the low side of that range is about 60,200 as of right now. As long as Bitcoin trades sideways here above the 78.6 level, which is 60,200, the more and more inherently bullish this actually will get as we do see volatility cool down, which will allow for the median to catch back up to price action. Once that happens, we'll have a reset, and I imagine that's going to start to favor the boo laws yet again. I know it sounds crazy still, but the trend is your friend as of right now. Of course, if Bitcoin does crack below 60,300 before you see the median really start to catch up to current price action, which by the way right now is at $52,000, so it's pretty far down there. Then I would be expecting a correction, and quite possibly one of the last few times that we'll really see below $60,000 before the halving. So something to be aware of right there. And again, I totally understand that, I might be completely eating these words in a month from now if this does not hold true. Again, understand where I'm getting this from and make your own decisions for yourself. But yeah, until Bitcoin really comes back down even below the 78.6 level, which is 60,200 on a daily closing basis, I can't even really be looking for like a decent correction, which at that point probably comes to around $55,000, maybe even $50,000 overall. And of course, in the short term, let's say Bitcoin were to break above the 88.3, which is again about 63,900, or if you just want to round up to 64,000, that's fine. I would be expecting kind of a pretty decent move somewhere around like actual all-time highs. Let's call it 66 to 68,000 bucks. But I suspect Bitcoin probably trades a little bit sideways here over the weekend. It's just most likely to be happening, especially keeping in mind that Saturday is the lowest volatile day in Bitcoin's history by a pretty large margin, actually, as well, even compared to Sunday. But Saturday, is more or less a wash in terms of whether it favors positive or negative closures. 52.08% have closed positively in Bitcoin's history. Fair enough. And the returns on the positive side were, spot 81%, and on the negative side were just under 0.5%. So let's see what that would look like in terms of a range today. Just seeing what's 81 to the upside, like 62.8. What's 0.5% to the downside? It's about 62,000 basically. doesn't really leave us much. I'd really be going with this as the overall range actually for this weekend, as like the most likely. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. I am going to be working on a lot of just updates in the background here for a lot of the content. So do be, on the lookout for that. Going to be uploading some new strategies as well. And yeah, I think it's going to be a nice, easy weekend. And then we prepare for the next fun week to come, let's say. So other than that, I want to wish you the best as always. Again, just a quick reminder, if you're interested in the quant automation, a little bit before we have the actual sale, we'll do a soft sale right now with the coupon code Happy 6 Year, and you can start right now if you so desire, and that applies to all the payments. So all good. All right, ending it right there. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.